The media industry isn't the only one going through a transformation, so is retail. 2017 is on track to be a record-setting year for bankruptcy filings and store closings. But if consumers are, by many measures, spending, why are the retailers hurting so much? Courtney Reagan explains.
Retail may be at a tipping point. More shopping is shifting online in general and to Amazon specifically, which is hurting store sales. Consumers are spending more on travel instead of clothing and investing in their homes rather than adding to their closets. The shifts have been happening over time, but after the recession, mall landlords gave concessions like lower rent or better lease terms, hoping to prevent ghost malls. Several years later, as retailers weakened, private equity firms stepped in, injecting cash to help prop them up. Those PE owners provided the financing, but the interest payments on the debt is due now, which is the ultimate reason many of these retailers are closing for good. In fact, half of the retailers filing for bankruptcy this year are highly leveraged with debt from private equity, including Payless, The Limited, and Wet Seal.
It's no different than a consumer who maxes out his credit cards. Once you've maxed out your ability to borrow, your degrees of freedom, if you should encounter any sort of a crisis, are much, much fewer and much more far between.
The debt strategy works when sales are going higher, but as sales fall, there's not enough cash to pay back what's now due. Making matters worse, as retailer sales begin to fall, some private equity firms want to make sure to get their money out, so they add even more debt, requiring the retailers to pay them special dividends.
I think what you're looking at is really death by a thousand cuts. They just have less margin for error. So anytime there's a little bit of a dip in the business, it gets harder to pay their interest and it gets harder to satisfy the rest of their obligations.
And now there's less time to figure it out than in the past. Because of major changes to bankruptcy laws in 2005, retailers now only have 210 days max to decide which stores to close and how to restructure to emerge from bankruptcy. Prior to the law change, it wasn't uncommon for a retailer to need 18 months to emerge from bankruptcy with a healthier business. All of it together means highly leveraged retailers filing for bankruptcy now turns into liquidation and not reorganization much more frequently. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Courtney Reagan.